My name is Mara Walsh. I am in the United States and specifically in Yardley, Pennsylvania, which is between Philadelphia and New York. I tell you this so that you understand that I am in the Eastern time zone. And if you have to convert your time, you can use New York as your timekeeper. So it will give you an understanding of where I am. So when I post a tour for 5 p.m., you'll know what time it is in your own region. I am a group leader for Girl Travel Tours. Don't let the name fool you. We welcome everyone on our tours, not just girls. The name came about because I started leading tours for Girl Scouts and their families and friends, but I have since expanded my travel program and I do many adult-only tours as well as multi-generational tours. I work with EF Go-Ahead Tours. I work with many other tour operators. And I also sell independent travel. So whatever your travel needs are, I'm sure I can help you if you would like some guidance. There's a couple of reasons why I started these virtual tours. One, I really wanted to support the tour director community during this time of travel restrictions where they have been unable to work. And two, I really wanted to keep the excitement of travel alive for my travel group and also extend that opportunity to those of you who've learned about us through your friends, your family, and on social media. We've done more than 50 tours since COVID has struck. If you have missed any or if you haven't seen them, please go on my website or Facebook page or YouTube, and you can see the recordings of all of the tours. Just Google Girl Travel Tours plus YouTube or Girl Travel Tours plus virtual tours, and you will certainly find the list that you could go in and view back tours. We have several more tours planned for the coming year. I have just about 4, I think, for the end of this year. We have Sicily for next week. We have Northern Spain coming up after that. We're going to explore Bethlehem, Nazareth, and Galilee for the Christmas week. And then we're going to look at the Christmas markets of Europe during Christmas break. Check back as we add new destinations to our list for 2022. We are gathering those now, and I'd love to hear from you in the chat what destinations you'd like to see. I'd also love to hear if you want us to repeat some popular destinations in a new and in different way. As long as you're interested in viewing these virtual tour presentations, I will continue to produce them. And you know what? I just realized before I start the poll, I need to go live on Facebook, which I forgot to do as we continued. So I'm going to do that now as I talk to you, and hopefully I can do 2 things at once. But we always publish we always go live on my Facebook page, which is also Girl Travel Tours. And I know a lot of people use it to stream the presentation to their TVs. So we should be live now, or at least in a second. So if you do go back and forth, I know some people like to post and interact with people on Facebook. You should be able to do that now because we are now streaming live. So that leads me to my next plug-in, which is, I always like to greet the people on Facebook, so welcome. And also please know that I'm hoping that we have control of the scammers on Facebook at this point, and they are not charging people to attend my virtual tours. But if they are, please know you should not have paid to access this Zoom link. It is up to you if you want to leave a tip for the tour director at your discretion during the tour or after, but you should not have had to pay anybody for this link. So I want you to feel free to ask questions to the tour director or to me in the Q&A on the Zoom toolbar, and we will address them after the tour. If you want to just chat with me during the presentation, then you could use the chat to do that, but we don't read those questions out. So please know if you want them to be addressed in the audience, we want to have you put them in the Q&A feature. I also like to include an interactive poll, which everybody probably is very aware of at this point. It gives me a good understanding of what your connection is to the destination we're going to visit tonight. So what's your connection? What is your connection to Costa Rica? I have been and loved it. I have a trip booked. I plan to go in the future. I have no set plans, but I'm interested in the location. and I'm solely interested in experiencing it virtually. I know a lot of our Girl Scout trips start out with a Girl Scout trip to Costa Rica, and I know a lot of my friends that are Girl Scout leaders do these trips to Costa Rica. So I'm hoping that some of you are online tonight, and you are going to get a little bit of a preview of your tours. I have a group in our area that's going to Costa Rica this summer, so I'm hoping that them and others that are traveling this summer will be ready and more prepared because of this virtual tour. So we have about 42% that have no set plans, but are just interested in the location. And then we have a bunch of people who have a trip booked and also plan to go in the future. So it's always nice to see that we have a lot of knowledge about the region. I know sometimes that makes the tour director a little nervous because you could teach them a few things, but we're welcome to that information if you want to share it on the chat as well. That's always fun to hear other people's take on the destinations and what they can provide in terms of some added information. Okay, so today's tour and all of our tours are scheduled for 90 minutes plus a Q&A. So you could get set with a cup of tea if you're from Australia, Coke if you're from the East Coast, or if you're in the West Coast of the US, you might be just finishing up your lunch. So regardless of where you're dialing in from, just have a water bottle. I always have my water bottle. Have a water bottle handy or a snack to settle in for the next 90 minutes or so. A tour would not be complete without a fantastic tour director. We are lucky to have back Georgiana, who has been with us for several tours. She recently spent 4 months in Costa Rica, so this is right up her alley, and she's been dying to share her love for the country with all of you. So I will share in the Q&A in the chat a little bit later how you can tip the guide if you believe the presentation is worthy and you have an appreciation for it that you would like to share a tip with the tour guide. Please know that the tips go directly to the guide once collected, minus the Zoom operating expenses. So today I want to welcome back Georgiana. Georgiana, if you're ready, you can join me with your video and I'll hand over this event to you. Welcome, my friend. How are you doing?
Good. How is everyone doing? I have started my video, but I do not see myself. Do you see me?
I do.
Perfect. Okay. So good evening, everyone. I say good evening because it's night where I'm from, but I'm sure it's not the same for everyone. It's so good to be back on your tour, Mar. And so thank you so much for your lovely introduction.
Today, I know some people like to post and interact with people on Facebook.
Okay, so tonight we are going to go on a virtual tour of Costa Rica. Let me just share my presentation with you. Yes. Share. Okay, perfect. Now everyone can see me. Perfect. All right. So I have recently spent, as Mara said, 4 months in Costa Rica, and I absolutely loved it. Because I'm a tour guide is my job, I have thoroughly explored it together with Vlad, my partner. Probably you know Vlad too from other previous tours that we've done with Mar. So you'll see a couple of photos of me and him all throughout the tour. The purpose of this tour is to make you fall in love with Costa Rica too, because it's an amazing country. And for those of you that have been to Costa Rica, hopefully I can bring you some added value, maybe some things that you have missed. But for those of you that want to visit, this will definitely give you a taste. So this will be a virtual country tour of Costa Rica. But before we start with our itinerary, I wanted to put Costa Rica on the map for you that don't know where it is located. So we are talking about the Republic of Costa Rica right here. It is located in Central America, and it is bordered by Nicaragua to the north and Panama to southeast. Now, you do have the Caribbean Sea on this side, and of course, you have the ocean on the other side. Now, San Jose is the highlighted capital of Costa Rica. One thing you need to know about Costa Rica is that it has a small population, only 5 million people. The total surface of the land area is 51,000 square kilometers. We're talking almost 20,000 miles. And from those 5 million, approximately 300,000 people live in San Jose. This is also the largest city of Costa Rica. The rest of the population is spread out all throughout the country. Around the metropolitan area of San Jose, so outside of the capital, there are 2 million people living. So imagine this is the most crowded area of Costa Rica. The rest is forest. Right, so this is a closer view onto the regions of Costa Rica, and we are going to visit them virtually. Not all of them, but some of the most important ones. Now, Costa Rica is known for its long-standing and very stable democracy and for its very highly educated workforce. Most of its workforce speaks English. And another thing is the education. So the country spends roughly 7% of its budget on education. Compare that to a global average of 4.4%. I have to say from my own experience that the children and the ones that we interacted with, they're very educated, and there's a big culture of environmental education. Now, the economy of Costa Rica was once very heavily dependent on agriculture, but now they have diversified their sectors to include finance, corporate service, foreign companies, pharmaceuticals, and the most important ones, and the one that interests me the most, is ecotourism. Now, here are some of the regions that we are going to travel to. First of all, Guanacaste. Then San Jose is, of course, the area with the capital. We are talking about the province of Limon, which is on the Caribbean side. Alajuela and Heredia, they are the northern regions of Costa Rica and home to its most popular volcanoes. Well, we'll get into that in a second. Now, I want to share a photo with this. It's called Story of Coffee. Now, most of the people, when you ask them about Costa Rica, what they know about Costa Rica, they'll tell you that Costa Rica is known for its coffee plantations, for its coffee of origin, right? Coffee was first planted in Costa Rica in 1808. By 1820, so in just 12 years, it surpassed tobacco, sugar, and cocoa as the primary export. Now, coffee production remained Costa Rica's principal source of wealth well into the 20th century, and thus creating a very wealthy class of growers, the so-called coffee barons. The revenue from all the coffee export did help to modernize the country. Now, here are a few coffee facts about Costa Rica. Now, if you're looking, the region where the best coffee grows is around San Jose, because the climate is the best. And of course, maybe some of you, the coffee drinkers, to recognize the name Tarazu or Orosi or Tres Rios. Here you can see the elevation on the map. And of course, coffee does prefer higher elevations. And, you know, Costa Rica is actually the first country the first tropical country that stopped and reversed deforestation, because we talked about very heavy agriculture. The agriculture, to provide a space for agricultural developments, they had to cut down a lot of their virgin forests. And unfortunately, that meant that Costa Rica went from 1940 to a 75% of forested area to the end of the 80s to 21% of forested area. This can very well be called an ecological disaster, because in a time span of 50 years, more than 50 of the country was pretty much fully deforested. However, because of very strong governmental policies, they've managed to reforest the country. And today we're talking about half of the country being reforested. I would call that a success, you know. Now, if you're thinking of visiting Costa Rica to take advantage of its great diversity, then here is a chart. I would say all year round is good to go to Costa Rica, because you will encounter pretty much warm temperature, but of course they do have two seasons. You know, we're talking about the dry season or the wet season. Now, if you're going into the best months, which are, from January, February, March, do be aware that the prices are also higher. Now, August, September are also very good months to visit. The time span that we have spent there is from January until April. Now, people did warn us that rainy season starts in April. For us, it started at the end of March. And yes, the weather can be different, not cold, but you will get a lot more rain and a lot more clouds, which can, in some cases, hinder your experience. So if you have a very short amount of time or just a week, do aim for the better months. Now, I did mention about Costa Rica's biodiversity, and yes, you will encounter lush forests such as this one in the photo pretty much everywhere you will go. Now, Costa Rica is considered to possess the highest density of biodiversity of any country worldwide. Surface-wise, we're talking about a country which is 1/3% of Earth's landmass. Approximately, for those of you that are from the United States, approximately the size of West Virginia, but Costa Rica contains 4% of species estimated to exist on the planet. So a large number of animals and insects that coexist in this tiny piece of land. And this success of biodiversity is also credited to the reforestation policies that they had in place. If we're talking about mountains, the highest point in the country is Cerro Siripo. It stands at 3,819 meters. Talking about feet, it's 12,000 feet. And the highest volcano in the country is Irasu volcano, which is very close to this area called Lake Arenal. We'll talk about that in just a few seconds in more detail. Do know that Costa Rica does have a lot of volcanoes. There are 14 known volcanoes in Costa Rica, and 6 of them have been active in the past 75 years. Now, if you're ready, we are going to start our tour in San Jose. So this is the capital. Most of the flights will arrive in San Jose, but if you're coming from the United States, maybe a flight from Liberia will suit you better. It is shorter and it can take you to the area that has the most beaches in the country. But for today, on our virtual itinerary through Costa Rica, we are going to start in San Jose, in the capital. From San Jose, we are going to travel to Liberia, which is the Guanacaste region, and then start touring the beaches. So the first one on our list will be Playa Hermosa. Then we're going to travel down to Tamarindo, to Playa Nosara, into the Nicoya Peninsula to Santa Teresa, and then stop here where we're going to cross back into Punta Arenas and continue our itinerary from there. But first and foremost, the region of Guanacaste and the Nicoya Peninsula will start with a trip to San Jose. Now, the capital city of Costa Rica, it is heavily industrialized. And in my opinion, it is not worth spending a lot of time in if you have a short amount of time on your hand to visit the country. As I said, most like 2 million people living around it in the metropolitan area. And because Costa Rica does not have a lot of history to talk about, like the one you would probably be used to if we're talking about Europe, for example, there's not a lot of museum to visit or not a lot of historical landmarks. Costa Rica is primarily a country that you visit for its very beautiful natural sites and for its biodiversity. So a day spent in San Jose is more than enough to visit the city center. And what's really interesting to see here are the churches and of course the farmers market. The main point, the main location where most of the people will meet is the National Theater, and that's the square that you will see probably in most of the photos coming from Costa Rica. So from Costa Rica, we're going to Liberia. Liberia is also a large city of Costa Rica. It has the airport that connects the United States much better than San Jose. Another thing that I forgot to mention, some people will avoid San Jose altogether because of its higher criminality than in other regions of Costa Rica. I would say like I didn't feel unsafe, but of course I was careful to avoid the regions that most of the locals will tell you to avoid. And it's good to avoid walking at night. During the day in the city center, especially where there's a lot of people at all times, I have seen police patrolling like from, 10 meters on. So they were present and they were patrolling very, very carefully. In Liberia, of course, a much smaller city, it is just a transit point. So Liberia, it's a transit point if you're arriving with an airplane, or if you want to grab a bus from San Jose to Liberia, whatever your plans are, just transiting. From Liberia, our first stop and the first beach that we have actually visited while on our stay in Costa Rica is Playa Hermosa. For those of you that don't speak Spanish, Playa Hermosa means beautiful beach. And this photo I have chosen because it encompasses perfectly the type of beaches that you can expect to see in Costa Rica. So on the Caribbean side, of course, you will see the blue of the water, the Caribbean blue that most of you know, but in the rest of the country, and especially on the Pacific side, you will see beaches with darker colored sand and surrounded by hills or mountains and lush forests. After Playa Hermosa, another beach that is very popular with the tourists is called Playa del Coco. Playa del Coco, the coconut beach. Coco Beach isn't the surfing beach, but it is an excellent fishing spot. So you will spot boats such as this one pretty much everywhere. Swimming and bathing are perfectly suitable for these waters, but unfortunately, the waters are not very clear for snorkeling. On some days, there's a swell. Waves are perfect for skimboarding. If you don't know skimboarding, I have a video just for you. And on those days, you'll see lots of local kids just skimboarding and having fun. So this is one boy that we've spotted. So yeah, we just went on the beach to watch the sunset, which we did enjoy. And as I said, it's a great beach to meet locals. It's a popular beach with the locals, not a lot of tourists around. This is from the next day in the morning, just another perspective of the beach. And from the shore, one thing that you will notice that stands out is this island. It's called the Monkey Head. Locals believe it looks just like a monkey. There are other islands that you can spot from Playa del Coco. And one thing that might interest some of you, if you are divers, this is one of the best diving spots in the country. Some of the fauna that you can see here can range from sharks, from manta rays, from octopuses, turtles, stingrays. But I would have to say that the clarity of the water is not the best, right? So do expect not that good visibility. From Playa del Coco, we're continuing our journeys through the beaches of Costa Rica. And one that might interest you the most is Playa Flamingo. Playa Flamingo is known for its wider sands and of course for its very big population of expats. Now this community has seen skyrocketing development pretty much because of its pristine blue waters, like the ones that you see here, because of the waves that are not very strong, and of course the sand, the clear sand. Now next to it, there has been a resort built called Diamante Eco Adventure. Now for this, I want to optimize the video. This is their presentation. So if you're visiting Costa Rica and if you have very few days on your hands, do pay this resort a visit. It's pretty much like Okay. Okay. Like a short tour, like a very concentrated tour of Costa Rica in just one place. All right, so I did not want to disturb the video. They did have some music, so that could have made it more difficult for you to follow me. So Diamante Eco is pretty much okay. Yes. So you have seen some. Sorry. All right. Okay. You have seen some jaguars, right? They do have like a sanctuary for animals in there. These were the two jaguars that they had on, and they looked pretty fat to me, two very fat cats. Now, one thing you need to know about the sanctuaries in Costa Rica, it is illegal to go out and hunt, not hunt, go take them from the wild and put them in a sanctuary. The animals that you will see in sanctuaries across the country only arrive there if they have been hurt or if they have been tracked down by operations of the police while going after poachers. But the parks are not allowed to, get the fauna for their own benefit. And if you see jaguars, that's because they are a little bit more powerful, like a more powerful resort. One local guide did tell me that if there's a jaguar that ends up in a veterinary or it's sick, the parks will fight over that jaguar to end up in the sanctuary because, of course, they are the main attraction, and it's the main reason that you won't see jaguars in all of the parks across the country. Now, another beautiful attraction of the park are, of course, the toucans. And what I really liked here is that you do not look at them through a cage. You are going inside the cage with them and they'll just fly around you. So it's very easy for them to fly very close to you. And these are my photos. He was my friend during that time spent at the park. They also have a hut where they will make coffee presentations. They'll show you how the locals prepare their coffee, or they'll show you how they prepare cocoa into a chocolate. So a beautiful workshop, great guides. And if we talked about toucans, I wanted to tell you a little bit about other toucans that you can expect to see if you're touring Costa Rica. So one of it is the previously we saw the chestnut mandible toucan, chestnut because of the color of its beak. Probably the most beautiful toucan is the kill-billed toucan, right? Because of its rainbow colored beak. Then we have the fiery-billed aracari. Now, aracari is an endemic species of toucans to Costa Rica, fiery-billed because of the red color, very bright color of the beak, and collar de aracari, colored because of its beautiful feathers around the neck. Now, if you take a look from these photos at them, the aracaris are still toucans, but smaller. The most impressive ones are, of course, the kill-billed and the chestnut mandibled. You know, everyone likes toucans because they're beautiful to look at, but I will probably disappoint a few of you if I tell you that the toucans are actually predatory birds, and they will eat the eggs of other birds, and just to make space for their own eggs. And like all beautiful birds, they do have a very weird sounding cry. So I have this video to share with you. Just the sound is important. It is a sound that will follow you everywhere. So if you hear this sound, even if you don't see them, do know that they are very close by. Some people say that this sound is similar to ghosts or something scary.
There's 8 of them now.
And they generally come, like if you see one, you'll probably see a flock of them. It is best to go and watch them on bird watching tours. The local guides will know the best spots for you to spot them, and they do make it possible to come very close because they will feed them. So most of the bird watching spots will have feeders of fruits right nearby, not very close to the person, of course, but close enough if you have a binocular. And because we're talking about Diamanteco, this is a photo of me doing the Superman zipline. This is the longest Superman zipline in the country. It is amazing because you're flying from pretty much the top of the hill all the way. It feels like you're flying into the sea. So yeah, it's a very amazing experience if you are able to do it. I would definitely recommend this as one of the top 5 things to do in Costa Rica. So from Diamanteco, from Playa Flamingo, we're going down to Playa Tamarindo. Now, Playa Tamarindo is a very popular location in Costa Rica for the expats and for everyone traveling to Costa Rica. And I have to say that 90% of the people that we've encountered there were tourists. Now, this is a part of the Guanacaste region. We're still in Guanacaste. It is located on the Pacific coast, and it's known for the beaches with very strong surf. There's another beach next to Playa Tamarindo known for its surf called Playa Langosta. Now, to the north of the beach, this is a very popular nesting site for leatherback turtles. We will talk about turtles in a little bit later in a different region. And very close to it, you have another national park called Las Baulas. Las Baulas just means leatherback turtles. There are also mangroves lining the estuary of Tamarindo that has protected animals such as howler monkeys or crocodiles. And I have seen a lot of videos from tourists from Playa Tamarindo that have encountered crocodiles while out surfing because they'll come out of the river straight into the waters of the ocean. So this is a video from our own stay in there. Let's see.
There's still water dripping from it.
Watch out for the joke, okay?
He's not moving.
Welcome to the car wash.
Right. So welcome to the car wash because there will be a lot of mangroves lining the waters of the lagoon. If you're in Tamarindo, I would definitely recommend a boat ride with a slow boat ride that will take you around. The most beautiful animals you'll get to encounter are, besides the birds, the crocodiles. And on our boat ride there, we did see 4 baby crocodiles. So that was pretty amazing. Another thing that not a lot of people know about is that you can actually go on night tours to watch nesting turtles. This time, we watched a green Pacific turtle trying to find her way to lay her eggs. Tell from the video, you're not allowed.
You know, can you see this storm? Because we were there, so always there.
So the quality of the video was not the greatest because you're not allowed to shine a very powerful light on a nesting turtle, especially at night. That will definitely distract them from their purpose there on the beach. Again, I will repeat, this was a green Pacific. If you see them in real life, they are huge. They are very, very big turtles, very close to the leatherback turtles in size, full of barnacles, this one. And just a fun fact, the nesting turtles will come out every night when they're in nesting season, try to find a good spot. But let's say she comes out of the water, and if on her way she encounters a branch or anything like that, she will just return because she'll consider that wasn't a great spot for laying her eggs, and come back the next night. The one that you saw did not end up laying her eggs that night, so we didn't actually see her nesting. Because she found a branch on her way. So she had to go back to the water. Now, back in Tamarindo, I told you that this is a great surfing spot. It is very, very good for beginners. So if you want to take up surfing, this is an amazing starting point for you. It does have consistent waves, very small one. You can catch a wave pretty much every day. If you've never popped up on a board before, no worries. There are so many surf shops in town and so many good guides that you will definitely, if you want to learn, you will definitely learn. We tried to learn. Vlad definitely enjoyed it a lot more than I did. I just took up surf lesson and then I gave up. It's not a sport for me. What's different from the beaches that you've seen earlier from Tamarindo, watch how wide the beach is, right? So from the point where you go into the water until the forest starts, there's such a large space of beach and very flat. So everyone is just, laying on the beach. There's a large community of expats, as I said, a lot of gated communities around the beach, and generally very young population in here because of the surfing opportunities. And if you want to have a very local type of meal in Costa Rica, I'd have to say their cuisine is not very extensive. It's very basic. And what we generally went for is the fried snapper and patacones. Now, if you don't know what patacones are, they are fried plantains, fried smashed plantain, and salted. And I would have to say this is a staple food among the locals. So we started in San Jose, right? Traveled to Liberia, and then we toured all of the beaches in the Guanacaste region. And we are now going into Nicoya Peninsula. So we've been here to Playa Hermosa, Playa Tamarindo. And this area, I have to say, is also known for the howler monkeys. Now, Costa Rica as a country in total has 4 different types of monkeys. And they are spread out all throughout the regions, but some regions will stand out in a specific type of monkey. So in Tamarindo, The monkey that you'll hear most of the time is the howler monkeys. They are known to be the largest type of monkey from the New World, and they are native to the forest and jungles of South and Central America. They prefer humid and very warm climates, and they do have prehensile tails. That means that they can hold and grasp and manipulate items with it. There's another monkey in Costa Rica that has disability, and that's the spider monkey. We'll see that one later. This allows them, because they have the prehensile tail, to jump from tree to tree safely and very fast. This is an aspect that actually distinguishes monkeys from the old world. If you don't know what old world or new world monkeys mean, just associate old world with the monkeys that you typically find in Africa, and the new world with the ones that you find in South and Central America. And this is something that distinguishes these types of monkeys. I will share a video of them with you. They are very, very territorial. I don't understand why my videos get blocked. So sorry, this one does not want to start. I will try to share it at the end too. Yep, I don't know why it doesn't start. I will try to share it again at the end of the tour with the howler monkeys. From Tamarindo, we are going into Playa Ostional, and this is home to a very, very interesting phenomenon, which is called arribada. Now, arribada in Spanish means arrival. It is, this beach is, it's home to a very rarely seen biological wonder. This biological wonder means that you'll be able to witness thousands of turtles coming out all at once to nest. Now, this happens on the week before the new moon, and the species of turtles that you're looking at is the olive back turtles. They will go out in Ostional, they'll dig the black volcanic sand, and they'll try to lay their eggs. Now, the Ostional Wildlife Refuge in Costa Rica was actually created in 1984. This is one of the world's most important nesting sites for the olive ridley sea turtle. And amazingly, Ostional Beach is the only beach in the world where you are allowed to harvest turtle eggs. This is legal, and it actually does not interfere with the process of with the nesting season. Now, scientists have found out that most of the eggs deposited in the first nights of the arribada are actually destroyed by the other turtles that come on the following nights. And it makes sense. Thousands of turtles coming out on the first night, they're laying their eggs, thousands more coming the next night. They don't know if there's another nest found underneath the sand, so they'll dig that one up, and that's why it gets destroyed. There's also a local cookie that uses turtle eggs in its traditional recipe, and it's still in use today. If you come back later the same month, you'll probably see baby olive ridley back sea turtles hatching from the sand and making their way into the waters. So we are now in Nosara Beach. Nosara Beach is also known for the gated communities and it's expat community. I would have to say that these are not beaches, same as Tamarindo. They're not very popular among the locals unless they have a business with tourists. I have seen a lot of Americans moving in here. And as a matter of fact, 10% of the population of Costa Rica today is made up of Americans. And from Nosara Beach, we're going down to Santa Teresa. Now, Santa Teresa is actually a very popular destination with professional surfers. As opposed to Tamarindo, where beginners were welcome, Santa Teresa is mostly dedicated to the ones that know how to surf already or are professionals trying to catch a good wave. Santa Teresa Beach is very, very beautiful, very pristine compared to other beaches, less developed. They've only started receiving the electricity after the 1990s. So before that, it was a completely isolated region of the country. Today, very powerful with the hippie community, with younger people that, again, they want to take up surf, they want to enjoy a very free life. So yeah, all in all, a very beautiful location. This is the type of wave that you can expect while surfing Santa Teresa. So you do not want to go there if you are a beginner. I will share a video with you now. Okay. You let me know.
Then, if you keep on practicing, maybe one day you can rip waves like a local.
Right, so that's just to give you a taste of what surfing in Costa Rica can look like. Again, I would definitely recommend Santa Teresa only if you know how to surf already. The waves that you've seen, or some of the waves that you've seen, were small, but the waves that we have seen there were quite big. So Santa Teresa is located here at the top of the Nicoya Peninsula, which is this area. And from here, we are traveling to take the ferry across Punta Arenas. Punta Arenas is a fishing region. I'm not going to highlight anything from it. I know a lot of people will travel to Jaco, is a town very popular among tourists. Don't really understand why, because it does have a few beaches that are okay, but mostly this area is known for its fisheries, and it's populated by a lot of locals that are trying to make money out of the tourists. So my suggestion would be to travel down from Jaco. Don't stop there. If it's in your itinerary, I would skip it and travel directly to Manuel Antonio. Now, Manuel Antonio is a national park of Costa Rica, very popular with tourists again, but very beautiful and known for its biodiversity and diversity of ecosystems in a very, very small region. And from Manuel Antonio, my suggestion is to go down to Uvita and another national park of Costa Rica known by Marino Balena. Marino Balena means whale in Spanish. From Uvita, we will be traveling down to Osa Peninsula. Now, Osa Peninsula is a location where very few people come to Costa Rica for. You really need to be very keen on discovering natural sites. And we are going to discover Corcovado National Park. From Corcovado, we're traveling back up to Cerro Siripo. Again, this is the highest mountain of Costa Rica, and hike that. And from there, we are making our way to San Gerardo de Dota, deep into the lush forests of the coffee regions of Costa Rica, and we'll try to spot a very beautiful bird. So we are starting with Manuel Antonio National Park. Now, Manuel Antonio is known for its very white sand beaches, beautiful water, very clear and very calm. And the nearby town that you can go into is called Quepos. So we are still on the Pacific coast of Costa Rica, yes. There's lots of biodiversity, lots of fauna to watch from, and a lot of activities such as resorts, zip lining, adventure activities make this destination a very, very popular among tourists. And this area offers something for everyone. So from kids, teenagers, young adults or adults into seniors, everyone will have something to do in here. It was one of my favorite national parks, actually, because of its very beautiful, lush forest that look directly into the water. It is a premier destination. It does have a lot of small, intimate hotels, which are built inside the forest, but you cannot see them from outside because they do blend in with the scenery. So no heavy, big development to steal from the beauty of the park. And yeah, when you visit the park, you will see that it's very small. It is the smallest national park of Costa Rica, but it is abundant with wildlife. So some of the wildlife that you can spot is the capuchin monkeys, the howler monkeys, squirrel monkeys. They are the most social animals in the park. Please do not feed them. They will feed themselves. So if you have any snacks or a sandwich with you, do pay attention because they'll come and steal it. I have seen that with my own eyes. Hold on very tight to your food because this damages them on the long term. You can also expect to see sloths, iguanas, agoutis, and hundreds of species of birds. This is an iguana that was actually our friend at the beach. And a tip, if you're going to Manuel Antonio, do make sure you book your local guide very early in the morning. The park closes at 4. It's one of the parks that closes the earliest in the country. And you need enough time to spend at the beach. So we talked about the howler monkeys. Now I want to talk to you about another species of monkeys that you will see all across the country, and that's the white-faced capuchin. These are also, I bet, more common and very popular in the movies too. They're very social, they're very communicative. They can be a little bit nasty in the sense that they will steal your food. The individuals of this type of monkey do spend a great deal of time in social bonding and establishing trust. And, you know, you might see one monkey sticking its fingers into another monkey's nose. That means that it's pretty much a hand sniffing gesture that establishes trust between them. The smallest type of monkey that you'll see in Costa Rica, and one of the rarest ones, is the squirrel monkeys. They are diurnal, they are arboreal, same as the capuchin monkeys. They are vegetarians. So the white capuchins will eat everything. The squirrel monkeys, they will eat the vegetation. They do not use their tail as a prehensile tail. So they will not use it as a balancing pole. They'll only use it as a tool. They move very fast, and you will see them trying to steal your food too. So I have a video here. You know, when we first took this video, we were joking that in Europe, you see crows on electrical cables. Here you see squirrel monkeys. And I know it does look dangerous, but they were perfectly fine. So you see the tail, they use it to balance. They don't necessarily use it to grab. Okay. So from Manuel Antonio, we're making our way down to Marino Balena National Park in Uvita. If the name tells you anything, Marino Balena means the whales national park. And what's really interesting about this location is that it is a great location to watch humpback whales. And to attest for that, there's actually a natural formation that looks like a whale tail. So this is not man-made. This is something that was just created by God. This Marino Balena National Park is part of the Osa Conservation Area. It is a safe area for the humpback whale migration, and that's what gave it its name again. Sunsets are amazing from this beach. Again, seem like the Tamarindo beach, a very, very, very wide surface to spend the time there at the beach. And to go into deeper water, you have to walk a lot through it. Again, a video of the humpback. They will come here with their babies. It is part of their migration into the warmer waters, right? My suggestion would be to rent a local boat ride. There's a couple of agencies that will take care of this for you. And typically on a boat ride, you get to watch the humpbacks from the deck of the boat, or if you're very courageous enough, you can actually go into the water and snorkel, or you can go diving. Now, you won't be getting very close to them because it is dangerous and they do dislodge a very big quantity of water. But they are beautiful, beautiful to watch. And it's an activity that I would suggest to absolutely anyone. From Uvita, we're making our way into Corcovado, which is my favorite national park in the country. And it was declared a national park in 1975. So it's not a very old park. You have to remember about Costa Rica, something that really stroked me was that everywhere we went in all of the national parks, the local guides would tell us, this is mainly secondary forest with a little bit of virgin forest that 30 or 40 or 50 years ago was just a big land of agricultural space. So say palm plantation, coffee plantation, cocoa plantations. And they said, due to the policies, this was turned into a national park. And the initiative started with the foreigners. So not with the locals, foreigners that came in, they bought a lot of land and they've turned that land into a national park. And today they're reaping the benefits, because I quoted this because that was not their main objective. The main objective was to protect the land, but they're now instituting this ecotourism direction. So Corcovado is an example of that as well. So today it is home to 200 endangered species, such as Baird's tapir, which we'll see a little bit later, jaguars, spider monkeys, ray-crowned squirrel monkeys, white-lipped peccaries, hawksbill sea turtles, and so on. Now, this whole area was also a mining area more than 50 years ago. And another spot that we will visit later is also Drake Bay, or Draki Bay, as the locals call it. So to get into Corcovado National Park, one of the reasons it's not as popular as all the other parks, it's accessibility. So you will need a minimum of 2 days to explore this park. And that's because typically you will come from a nearby town, right? And go into the forest by foot. So there will be a 4x4 taking you into the first ranger station, which is called La Leona. And from here, you will have to walk to actually reach the center of the park, which is Sirena. From here, you will spend the night. And the next day, you have two options. You can either walk to Los Patos and a 4x4 will wait for you here to take you back into the city, or you can take a boat from La Sirena back to La Leona, and again, the 4x4 back into the city. So do know that if you want to visit Corcovado, you will need to take your time, at least 2 days. Now, if you're gonna take the advice of local guides, do take 3 days if you want to walk more into the forest, because taking the boat, they call it cheating in the sense that you don't get to see the animals in their splendor, right? To be able to truly watch them in their environment, you need to have a little bit of time to observe them. So from La Leona, so this area from La Leona until Sirena, you're pretty much walking on beaches. And this is the type of beaches that you're going to be walking on. And sometimes the water comes in, so you have to hurry up so you don't, your access is not hindered. And after walking for 20 kilometers, so pretty much a full days of walk, you are invited into Sirena ranger station into the middle of the National Park of Corcovado. This is a biological station, right? A lot of researchers come here, and the area where you're going to spend the night is this house behind you. So they will offer accommodation in bunk beds. You're going to enjoy your own room. There are common shared bathrooms, right? Showers. Of course, they're separated by females and males. But yeah, everyone shares the same space into a very, very big room that they've arranged as bunk beds, but everything was super clean. I was impressed with the hygiene in this location. This sign was also home to one of the more common spiders that we've seen across Costa Rica, and that's the golden orb spider. Now, initially, the first time I saw them, they really did scare me. I was not used to them, but they're pretty much everywhere, and they are harmless, even though they can be quite huge. Now, the golden orbs are called golden orbs because they weave, the web has a golden color, and it is very strong. Now, I have encountered weavers from golden orb web, and there are some craftsmen that will sell jewelry made out of this thread. So some of the fauna that I really enjoyed seeing in Corcovado are the birds. Now, in Corcovado, there are estimated to live 1,500 scarlet macaws, or Ara macaws, as you might know them by. They live in dry, moist, and very wet tropical lowland forests all across the Pacific coast. I am pleased to say that Costa Rica, in Costa Rica, you can still encounter them pretty easily wherever you go very close to the coast or to the beaches. The most we've seen are in Corcovado, and they do enjoy their time in almond trees. The other bird that really impressed me is the common putu. If you did not see a bird, maybe you did see its tail, but look at its head. It is a nocturnal bird. During the day, it will camouflage itself on top of a branch, a dry branch, because the colors of its feathers do match the color of the branch. So they're very, very hard to spot. I did not spot one myself. I did use the local guide's experience, and he is the one that pointed the bird out to me. Okay, I do have a video of the green macaws. So we've seen the scarlet macaws, but the one that is very elusive is the green macaw. And the reason for it is, of course, its color. It's very, very hard to spot green parrots in a green forest. Just like the toucans, right? Very beautiful color for birds. They have an awful cry. It is very, very hard to miss them, especially if you hear that sound and it just sounds like the cry of a baby. Well, not even a baby. It just sounds horrific, but they're very beautiful to watch. So one of the animals that are very rare to see in Costa Rica is the Baird's tapir. Now, it's commonly referred as danta, so the local will know it by its name. They are unique and very, very beautiful animals. They can be recognized by the off-white markings, right, that you see on its face. And of course, the dark spots on its back. They are very heavy animals, very, they walk slowly, but they're very elusive because they will hide in the tall grass. This is the largest of the species breeds that are found within Central America, and it is the largest land mammal in the region. Other animals that I wish that you do not necessarily encounter in the wild if you're not with a local guide is the puma or the jaguar. Another thing that I forgot to mention about this park is that you cannot go into Corcovado National Park on your own. So it is illegal to go there by yourself. You need to have a local guide, and you need to have prearranged plans to sleep or to spend the night in La Sirena. So they'll need to know about you. We have seen traces like paw prints on the ground, both from the puma and from the jaguar. It is very, very hard to spot them, right? They are felines, and if they do not want to be spotted, you won't see them. There's a lot of trap cameras across the national park, and do ask for the local guides to show you videos of them. So back in Corcovado, right? Back into our map. I couldn't leave without telling you about the best diving spot in the country, and that is Drake Bay. Now, Drake's Bay, or Drake Bay, as it's known among the locals, is a very small bay on the north side of the Osa Peninsula. And this bay is believed to be a port that was used by Sir Francis Drake during its raids on the Spanish Main in the 16th century. Now, some people will say that this is the place where he hid his very famous treasure, but we don't know. Nothing has been found. Today, as I said, a very beautiful location, diving location, but not just for diving. In Costa Rica, the natural tours are very popular. And amongst the natural tours that you could do is bird watching tours, just natural tours that can take 2 to 3 hours in the national parks with the naturalist guide showing you both flora and fauna diversity, or night tours. The diving spot in Drake Bay is very close to Isla del Caño. That means the dog island is the one that you see from here. And of course, the scarlet macaw and the almond tree. A close view of Isla del Caño. Do watch the depth, watch out for the depth of the water, right? The water is much clearer than in other locations across the country. And that's what makes it a great diving spot. I will share a video with you because I want you to see what type of animals you can expect while diving here, if diving is so Drake Bay is known for its impressive fauna, right? So you've seen white-tip sharks and manta rays, and that's something common. So that's why divers prefer that spot. Every time they go, they're guaranteed a good time. It is a very dangerous spot to dive from, so only advanced divers are allowed to go diving in there, but it's well worth it. Now, because I did talk to you about the night tour that you could do in Drake's Bay, we've done a really amazing tour there. It was with a Canadian lady, I think she was from Canada. Her name was Tracy, the Bug Lady. If I'm mistaken and she's not from Canada, I'm really sorry, but do look for her. Tracy the Bug Lady Night Tour in Drake's Bay. We have seen so many different types of animals and insects during the tour with her. She is very knowledgeable, and this is her hand in here. She's the one that pointed to us the whip scorpion. It's the one that I want to highlight because it is the same scorpion. Maybe some of you have watched Harry Potter. It's the one that appears in the movie, and that's cursed by Mad-Eye Moody. The whip scorpion is, of course, not a scorpion. It is a spider. It's very harmless, even though it looks very impressive. These are other types of spiders that we've seen. Unfortunately, I do not remember the name of this particular one. And very tiny frogs. So Costa Rica is also known for its diversity of frogs, very small frogs, rainforest frogs, actually. And the one that you'll probably see as an iconic landmark of Costa Rica is the red-eyed tree frog. These amphibians actually sleep during the day. They are stuck to the the bottom of the leaf, and they have their eyes closed and all their body markings that you see here completely covered. When they are disturbed, they'll flash their bulging red eyes as a way to intimidate the predator, right? They will flash not only their eyes, but also their webbed palms, right? And orange feet. This technique is called startle coloration. This may give a bird or a snake a pause, offering a very precious instant for the frog to actually jump, right, out of the reach of the predator. Now, despite of their conspicuous coloration, the red-eyed tree frogs are not dangerous. They're not poisonous. They're not venomous. They are found in tropical lowlands, such as southern Mexico, all throughout Central America, and in northern South America. They are carnivores, so nocturnal carnivores, and they'll eat crickets, flies, moths. They have very long, sticky tongues. Now, this is how you would expect to find them during the day. So it doesn't even look like the same frog anymore, does it, right? Super colorful during the night, completely covered, and it looks like a frog during the day. So that's part of their defense mechanism. Again, we are here in Corcovado, right? We've passed by Corcovado and we're going to come back up into Cerro Siripo. Now, Cerro Siripo, it is one of Costa Rica's wilder national parks, but it's relatively accessible by foot. Much of the rugged terrain has been protected from development and exploitation, mostly due to its inaccessibility. Now, Cerro Siripo, it is the #1 attraction of the national park because a lot of people want to climb it, right? It's the summit, it's the highest peak. The views are spectacular. On a clear day, you can see both the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea simultaneously, right? So you're pretty much in the middle of the country overlooking on both sides. It is very long, so 9 miles, very steep. It's nearly 10,000 feet, right, of elevation gain. It's a very strenuous climb, but of course, there are mountain huts that will offer refuge. One thing that I would have to clarify here is that you need to plan well in advance your climb on Cerro Siripo. Again, you cannot go by yourself. So you do need to announce in advance that you're planning to do so, and places run out 6 months in advance. After Cerro Siripo, another national park where you can spot a very rare bird is Parque Nacional Los Quetzales. That means National Park Los Quetzales. This is already going into the cloud forest. Now, the cloud forest is something, another highlight of Costa Rica, something that you might have heard of when searching about Costa Rica. Even though it's a very short distance from Central Pacific, Los Quetzales, this national parks, it offers travelers a very different experience. The climate is much cooler than what you expect. Because of its high location on top of the mountains, the park is typically entrenched into a haze of very thick clouds. That's what cloud forest means. So it is completely surrounded by clouds, and it does feel like you're climbing into the clouds, right? A typical entry onto the hiking routes looks like this. Sendero means trail. And of course, you'll have the total length of the trail and the location where you're in. We are currently in San Gerardo. And yeah, so the trails are not, depending on, of course, on the national park that you're going into, but most of the national parks don't have those very well manicured trails. So it all looks very lush and also very natural. I, for one, do prefer these types of trails with, minimum marking and minimum human intervention. They are very well protected and very well kept, so you're not going to be lost. And because we are talking about this particular park, this is a great location to spot the quetzal. The resplendent quetzal is one of the most interesting birds that I have ever come across. This is a bird, if you're a birder, they are part of the trogon family. It is typically found in Mexico all the way to Western Panama, so mostly to Central America. And it is well known for its very colorful plumage. This bird, because of its unusual appearance, has played a very important role in various types of Mesoamerican mythology, and it is the national bird of Guatemala. And the image of the bird is located on the country's flag, on its coat of arms, right? So we're talking about Guatemala here, not Costa Rica, and it does. And it also influenced the name of the currency of the country, right? So they will have quetzal. Now, a lot of birders will come to the area just to see this bird. And the reason why it's so rare to spot is because they solely feed on avocado trees. The avocado trees, the avocado that they eat are not the ones that you might think of right now. So the avocado that they eat are very small. It's a specific type of avocado, and they are normally cut down to make way for grazing pastures. They do not typically grow into the lusher forest into the lusher cloud forest. So they need to be in a secondary forest outside of the very, very humid climate. So that's why it makes it so difficult to maintain. So you would have to plant an avocado tree specifically to attract quetzales. And I could not have passed by this national park without talking about the hummingbirds, the beautiful hummingbirds that you will see in Costa Rica. So there are several species of hummingbirds that come into the country. This is a slow motion video that I have took at a feeder. Your best chance to spot hummingbirds is at a feeder such as this one, where they will enjoy some syrup. And another trick, if you want to attract hummingbirds, is to wear brightly colored coats. So I wore a red coat, and they were naturally attracted to the color of my coat. So they actually flew on my shoulder or on my hand. Of course, they were very confused as to why they were trying to poke me and to get my nectar. They were very confused as to why I do not produce any. But yeah, this is a trick that we have learned the hard way. In the same area, because of the climate, this is a perfect location to also grow coffee. And I wanted to talk to you about Coopedota, which is the first coffee co-op in the world to be certified carbon neutral by the British Standard Institution. So since 1960, the cooperative has supported smallhold farmers in and around the town of Santa Maria de Dota. This washed coffee represents the collective efforts of the hundreds of members of Coopedota and of the professional team from the central mill, from the washing station. It is a local initiative to help coffee growers and to help them conduct a sustainable business. So what happens is that all of the coffee farmers in the region will come to this location. They will sell their coffee beans that look exactly like here. The coffee beans will be weighted and of course separated by their quality. The greener ones are actually considered lower quality than the very bright colored ones, because that means they are not fully ripe yet. The riper, the better. After they have been weighted and, selected by standards, they will be put out in the open to dry out. After they've been dried out, they will be separated. Their shell will be taken out to several processes, and this is the coffee beans before they are roasted and after they are roasted. Now, depending on the level of how you roast the coffee, that's the amount of caffeine that you're going to get into the final product. Now, I will say something that might surprise a lot of you. If you serve dark roasted coffee, that has the least amount of caffeine from any type of coffee. The lighter you roast your coffee beans, the more amount of caffeine you'll have in your coffee. Now, they do suggest to use a French press to get the most effect of the caffeine, and the espresso as a type of coffee is not the strongest type. It is actually the weakest type. So if you want to get a very strong coffee that will keep you awake, do go for a very light roast and for the French press. Now, coffee is very popular in Costa Rica. It is a staple drink. The way that they prepare the coffee is through the choreador. Choreador is pretty much the sock. In translation, it is this sock that they will fill with freshly ground coffee beans, over which they'll pour hot water. And that's the coffee that they serve. So it's actually very weak because the water does not stay in contact with the coffee bean for very long. But it is a traditional way to serve coffee in Costa Rica, and it is part of their history. It has been used for centuries. And if you're going everywhere into a local family, they will offer it to you like this. So we are getting ready to leave Cerro Siripo and San Gerardo de Dota and go towards Puerto Viejo. Now, once you leave this area of Costa Rica, you're going into the Caribbean side. The Caribbean side of Costa Rica is actually considered less developed than all of the other regions. And the reason for this are the mountains, for one, because it's very hard to transport anything from the port of Limon into San Jose. It is much easier from other locations, and because of its different population. So when you're traveling from the west part of the country into the east part of the country, it's like you're traveling to different countries. So even the locals look different, yeah? And that's because of the population that originated in Jamaica. Now, I do suggest to go into Puerto Viejo de Talamanca, the first city that we saw in the province of Limon. Do not go into Limon. It is known for its very high criminality, and there's nothing to see in there other than the port. So go to Puerto Viejo de Talamanca. It is a town located in the southeast of Costa Rica, as I've said. It is known for the Salsa Brava surf break, and for beaches that have a type of black sand. One of it is Playa Negra, for example. It's not this one, so this is the normal type of sand, but do notice the blue of the waters, right? Because we're now on the Caribbean side. I forgot to tell you about the restaurants, typical restaurants that you definitely need to try while visiting Costa Rica are the sodas. So all of the local restaurants are called soda. A soda restaurant is where you will expect to find local cuisine. Now, this particular soda, Ghetto Girl One Love, will definitely give you a Caribbean side. The people here, as I've said, are of Jamaican descent. And it is poorer. It is a poorer area than in other places because of the high crime rate and because it's relatively isolated. Yeah, so these are some of the locals that you might meet. They do have a great vibe. You will have a lot of fun with them. I personally did not encounter a lot of crime. So as long as you use your common sense, you are good to go. Now, Puerto Viejo, I have to say, isn't for everyone. As opposed to other places of the country, there is no McDonald's, there is no international chain. There are yoga teachers everywhere. They outnumber the office workers, actually. The local kids will learn to surf before they learn how to walk, and you'll hear probably 20 different languages before breakfast. If you're looking for luxury resorts that have a poolside drinks, golf courses, Puerto Viejo is not for you. The whole Caribbean side is not for you. So do expect a lot more contrast in this area, right? If you're going for something authentic, for a fresh coconut on the beach, maybe some reggae playing at a neighboring bar under an almond tree, then do go here. It's not necessarily the best place to go with children, I would say. They do have the Caribbean side that has a very interesting park. It's called Cahuita. So Cahuita National Park. It's known for its a population of sloths. And of course, for its very beautiful beaches. The locals will go into the park just to go at the beach. You are going into the park through its trails. The trails do follow an itinerary all across the beaches. And of course, this is the entrance into the park. So this small bridge right here is where you enter, and then you're walking across the forest. In Costa Rica, you will find two types of sloths. We're talking about the three-toed and the two-toed sloths. Now in Cahuita, it's very common to find the three-toed, and the three-toed sloth, it is more common, I would say, all across the country, not just in this national park. Now, the difference between them is besides their toes, right? Because this is the three-toed and this is the two-toed. You notice the differences between their fur, right? So the three-toed has a darker brown type of fur, whereas the two-toed sloth has a very green fur and much lusher and much longer. What I found the most interesting about the sloths is that the fur is actually acts as their camouflage in a way, and it is full of microorganisms, and that's why it's so green. There is a symbiosis between the sloth and the microorganism that provide this camouflage for the animal. Now, you know, the sloths cannot move very fast. They have a very, very slow metabolism, and they will go down from the trees only once a week to go for a toilet break, right? Now, the scientists have discovered that the sloth only goes down once a week, not because it's lazy or because of its very slow metabolism, but because that toilet break provides the perfect environment for the microorganism in its fur to lay their eggs and to perpetuate this symbiosis that these animals have with the organisms. There is a couple of sanctuaries that you can go and admire them from if you do not spot them in the wild. But if you get a local guide while visiting Cahuita, you will definitely spot them because they're pretty much everywhere. Another center that I would like to talk to you about is the Jaguar Rescue Center. This is an animal rescue center located very close to Puerto Viejo. It is dedicated to the rehabilitation of mistreated, injured, orphaned, or confiscated animals. There are no actual jaguars right now at the rescue center. The name is dedicated to the memory of an abandoned baby jaguar who has been brought here after the mother has been murdered by local farmers. So up until recently, farmers were the ones responsible for killing the predators in the country because, of course, they would go for the cattle. This is a video of a baby sloth. Let me optimize this video for you so that you can enjoy it. They're very small, but right as they come out of their mother's womb, they will instinctively know how to move across the branches and how to feed. They do spend most of their time sleeping. The baby sloths are clinging to their mother's fur. Sometimes they do go out and explore. Unfortunately for them, when they go out and explore, they will fall off the tree. And the rangers of the park do find them at the bottom of the trees. They will take them into the sanctuary where they are being taken care of. In some occasions, the mom will go down and try to find her baby, but in others, she won't make that effort. So if you see a baby sloth at the bottom of the tree, then you definitely need to call in the rangers because he will have no chance of survival. They're very beautiful to look at, and from all of the places in the country that we've been in, Cahuita where they were the most active during the day. I do not know an explanation for this, but that's what we have observed through our experience in there. So also in the Caribbean side, you can go and do a cocoa trail. Now, a cocoa trail is where you visit a local tribe, the Bribri, and they'll tell you the story of cocoa and how they produce their chocolate and how they've produced their chocolate for centuries. Now, this is the cocoa tree here, the cocoa beans before they are processed. And this is the workshop where you can observe how chocolate is created and how chocolate ends up making our life better. So first of all, the lady will roast the beans that come out of the bigger bean. Right, so she will roast the beans until they are dark brown, and then through this grinder, the beans, the freshly roasted beans are transformed into a paste. Now this paste, the locals will mix it with raw sugar or with milk solids or with just chili pepper, any type of flavoring that you want to give to your chocolate. That's the moment that you're going to mix it in with, and you're going to serve it, and it's probably one of the best chocolates that you can have. He was trying to tell us the secret of why his beans, the cocoa beans that we tasted there, were not as bitter as other cocoa beans that we've tried. Now, do go for a chocolate tasting. A more premium experience is to go for Reina's Chocolates. There's a private chocolate tasting, and the chocolatier does different blends of chocolate, from darker chocolate to milk to different flavoring, all the way until white chocolate. And the tea that you see on the side comes from flakes of the cocoa bean. So it's cocoa bean tea. From Limon, if we're traveling up, we will see Tortuguero National Park. This is another national park of this province, and a very important one because you can only reach it by airplane or boat. Even though it is harder to access, it is the third most popular park of Costa Rica and most visited park. Now, the park has a very large variety of biological diversity. There's a lot of fauna and flora to see and hear. There are different habitats that coexist. As you can see, on one side, you have the sea. On the other side, you have the river and the lagoons. And the climate here is very humid and receives a lot of rain. Now, inside the park, I would definitely suggest to go on a boat ride. They can be navigated by this type of boat with an engine or with a canoe or with a kayak. And what you are going to see, what you are expected to see, are spectacled caimans and river turtles. The beaches in Tortuguero are famous for its species of turtles, which gave it its name, right? So Tortuguero means the region of turtles. Now we are going to talk a little bit about the types of turtles that come and nest here. And the first one is the green sea turtle. And one of the most important because it's one of the most endangered species of turtles. It is the largest species of hard-shelled sea turtles and the second largest to the leatherback And its common name does not come from the color of its skin or its shell, which is common among other species of sea turtles, but from the greenish color of its fat. Now, the green sea turtles were very popular when turtle soup was a thing in UK, and that's why they almost became extinct. Then we have the hawksbill turtle, named after the bill, the pointed beak. This is their distinctive pattern. The leatherback turtles, right? The largest type of turtle in the world and one of the most endangered today because they are losing their nesting sites. There's an estimated 25,000 leatherback females left in the world, whereas there were almost 100,000 30 years ago. They're in heavy decline because of its bycatch and egg harvesting and losing its territory. And we have the loggerhead turtles. These are more common across the US. They are named for the large head that supports the powerful jaw muscles with which they crush prey such as clams or sea urchins. So here in Tortuguero, you have a chance, you probably have the chance to see all of them in different seasons, of course. So we are traveling from the Limon region, right? So this is Puerto Viejo, this is Tortuguero, very close to the Caribbean Sea. And from here, we are going back into the mountains to visit La Fortuna. Here, you have a photo of Volcano Arenal. Now, if you're Googling Costa Rica right now, this might be the photo that you'll come up with. So Volcano Arenal volcano, it is one of the most popular locations for tourists in Costa Rica. It is a dormant volcano. You are not allowed to climb all the way onto the top because of its activity. You can only go onto the trails at the bottom. It does remain the country's most active volcano for the past 43 years. And it is so popular because of its hot water spring resorts. Now, if you go to Arenal, there are different types of experiences that you can enjoy as far as hot spring resorts go. Now, the most premium one is Tabacon. $100, I think a pass for one day is $100, but you can experience, luxurious hot springs. The other one is Baldi Resort. All the water used in these places come from the ground, and it's naturally hot because of the activity of the volcano. Or you can go where the locals go and enjoy the free hot spring resorts. So nearby, it's a very secluded and isolated location. It's not very well documented, so to say, but the locals will point you out to go there. It looks just like a river. So you're pretty much laying in a river, but the temperature of the water is very high. So it makes it very pleasant to spend hours and hours and just enjoy the experience of a hot spring deep in the middle of the forest, of course, without all of the amenities of a premium luxurious resort, but without paying the premium price either. We enjoyed our time in there. Let me share a short video. The quality of the light is not very good because I did film during the night when the locals will come in with speakers. They will fire up a barbecue and they'll just have a good time. So after visiting La Fortuna, we are going to make our way deep into the cloud forest, and I will finish our tour through Costa Rica with the cloud forests of the country. And the most interesting one, I would have to say, is Monteverde Cloud Forest Reserve. Now, most of the tourists will end up here because it is very well developed as far as activities go. You'll have these bridges built all across the forest where you can notice the canopy from. The trees in here are very, very tall. They're mostly primary forest, and they are completely surrounded by white clouds. You can note like these places are very popular for bird watchers. There are more than 400 bird species, 100 species of mammals, and 120 reptilian species that you can notice on a natural tour, on a bird watching tour. The bridges that go through the forest that take you very close to the canopy are the ones that will make it easier for you to watch them, because if you're just doing the trails at the bottom of the trees, I did mention they're very tall, so you won't see very much. And do take a local guide, even though you can go into these forests by yourself. So just paying the ticket will get you inside. They're very, the trails are very visible. If you don't take a local guide, you won't see anything. So all of the naturalist guides in Costa Rica will come with their very own telescope. So if they don't have a telescope, do not trust them, don't take them, don't hire them. With that telescope through that telescope is where you get to see most of the species on. Without it, it's very hard to spot anything. So besides the bird watching tours and opportunities, the people go to these cloud forests for the zip lining opportunities. More chilled out version of zip lining is to go into this type of car that will take you through the canopy, and it is very leisurely. Now, you can also try, if you're feeling adventurous, Extremo Park. Now, Extremo Park has some very, very crazy activities, such as in this video. Let me see. Yes. This is the Superman zip line, similar to the one that I showed to you at the beginning, only in a different location and without opening the sea this time. And one type of monkey that we've seen here in Monteverde is the spider monkey. Now, the spider monkey, similar to the howler monkey, is the one that has a prehensile tail. It is fully vegetarian, so it does not eat anything that contains meat. And opposite to the howler monkeys, they are led by a female, right? So the howler monkeys had a dominant male, the spider monkeys have a dominant female. Now, they are called spider monkeys because of their very, very long arms and legs. So yeah, from all of the species of the monkeys, these appear to be the biggest ones, right? And do watch out for them if you see them in the canopy of the trees, because if they feel disturbed by you, they will pee on you. So that might not be rain that catches you, it can be them. So do stay away from them. Don't be right underneath them. Another thing that Costa Rica is popular for is its waterfalls, right? So throughout the national parks, you will see beautiful, beautiful waterfalls. And next to Volcano Arenal, there's another volcano. This whole area is volcanic. You get to see Volcan Tenorio. And this is Rio Celeste. It's also the picture that Mara shared for this tour. You're not allowed to go inside the water, the water of this waterfall anymore, into the Rio Celeste. It's known for its very clear blue water that's due to some minerals from the bottom of the river, and they've completely stopped access to swim inside the water to protect it, to protect the color from being damaged. And to finish off with, I had to give you some examples of tropical fruit that you'll find only here in Costa Rica. This is the fruit of the palm. It is perfectly if you roast it, and the locals will serve it with mayo. And the one that, to me, it tasted a lot like ice cream is the guanabana. So we visited a farmer's market. This is a very large fruit, and they will typically sell it, cut up in pieces. This is a very, very soft fruit. You can put it in your freezer and then just eat it with a spoon because it spoils very, very fast. That's why it's probably not very popular with exports. So it's best dried fresh. And because we've talked about so many animals, I can leave without a photo of the cattle that you'll see pretty much everywhere. They were my favorite. They looked like beagles to me because they had very floppy ears and very docile. And I did share at the beginning a type of meal that we've had, so the fried snapper with the patacones, but Costa Rica has a national dish, and that's called casado. So everywhere you go, in every soda, you can have casado. Casado is pretty much rice with beans, right? Rice with beans and a type of meat. So you can have fish, you can have chicken, you can have beef, whatever you want. A casado will always comprise of these three elements, right? And a little bit of fried plantain, maybe a lemon on the side. And in the morning, their typical breakfast is called gallo pinto. Now, in direct translation, that means a black cock, but there's no meat involved in here. It is just the beans and the rice and some fried eggs on the side. Maybe you've heard this phrase before. Pura vida is a typical Costa Rican phrase. The locals use it as a hello or a goodbye word, right? So they have a very, very relaxed type of life. I will say to you pura vida as well, because this is where we finish our tour of Costa Rica. But before we go into the Q&A, I wanted to tell you that we have prepared the quiz for you, just like I've done with all of our other tours. And if you get a perfect score on this quiz, you will get a chance to win a Lonely Planet guide of Costa Rica that just came out this November. So it's fully updated, November 2021. Do fill in the quiz. Mara will share the link with you in the chat. So I think I went a little bit longer than our allotted time, but I am happy to hear your questions right now, and I really hope you enjoyed my tour of the country.
I know I certainly did. I am ready to go. So other than humidity, which seems to be its only weakness, I think that it's a great time to go and explore Costa Rica and all it has to offer. I certainly would love to do it right now, especially as we head into the winter months. It's always nice to have something to look forward to that brings you out of that cold time. So yes, we are going to go into the Q&A, but before we do that, everybody, if you have a question, please put it in the questions tab, the little Q&A on the bottom of the Zoom toolbar, and we will go through them. And Facebook, I will try to bring your questions into play as you put them out there as well in the posts. I just put up a slide. These are ways that you can tip Georgiana. You can use Venmo, PayPal. You can go on our secure website and use a credit card. If you are going on the website, the one thing you have to do is click the little button next to the credit card if you're paying by credit card, especially if you're in a non-US territory, because I know that that presents a challenge for people. It's automatically clicked on PayPal, just unclick it and click on the credit card to make sure that you can do that properly. And then I just put up a list of my physical tours on the right-hand side of this slide so that you can see where we're going as a group. If you'd like to join our group, feel free to do so. We have a fun time, and I am so looking forward to physical travel, and I would love to have you come along and we can chat in person about what we've been doing virtually as well. So Georgiana, if you are ready, we can go into these questions and you can start them yourself. Are you comfortable reading them and going through yourself? Or do you need some? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm going to hand it over to you
no.
then, and you can just dive in.
Yeah, I was just going through some of the questions right now. Please mention things about dealing with the virus. So at the time that we traveled, Costa Rica was one of the countries that had a very strict travel insurance policy, health insurance policy. And everywhere we went, they did respect the regulations. So the locals were very adamant about always wearing a mask. I know that they secured enough dose of the vaccine for their population. So they're very, protective of the tourists because that's where their economy is mostly based on. But from what I've seen, they've done everything in a very proper manner, and they didn't have that many, infected people. I have been to Panama. Would you say Costa Rica is considerably different? I have not been to Panama, but I did hear that the fauna and the flora is similar to Costa Rica. So I don't know. I don't think it's considerably different. No, I would say it's similar. I hear it's a good place to retire. Yes, definitely. If you are looking to retire to Costa Rica, do search on Facebook for expat communities of people that have already moved and retired there. I have a few friends myself that have done the exact same move. So yes, it is amazing to retire, especially in a great expat community. Where could I get more information? The Facebook groups. Are there a lot of bugs? Yes, there are a lot of bugs, but not to put it in a negative way. The bugs that you mostly encounter in Costa Rica are harmless. Okay. Where am I? Can you tell us how cold the waters are and the difference in temperatures on the Pacific side and the Caribbean side? Thanks. To be honest, I did not feel a difference in the temperature of the water between the Pacific side and the Caribbean side. I did feel it if I was going diving, right? So the Pacific side, it is colder because it gets deeper faster if you're going from the shore. However, as I said, not major differences. The National Museum of Costa Rica in San Jose is fabulous. It is fabulous. Yes, I did not want to dismiss this National Museum of Costa Rica. It's just that this is one of the highlights of the capital, and not a lot of other museums to see. What time of the year for the turtles' eggs laying? So it really depends on the species of turtle, right? So the olive lily-back sea turtle will lay their eggs starting in February and pretty much going all around the year. The leatherback will go to nest their eggs in June. So yes, depending on what type of turtle you want to see nesting, that's how the nesting season fluctuates. So are there sanctuaries and animal parks and no zoos? Are zoos the same as parks? Very good question, Carol. So Costa Rica, because it's known for its ecotourism, it's known for sanctuaries and national parks. National parks, that means that the fauna is roaming around freely. So to spot it, you will need a local guide. The sanctuaries are similar to the one that I showed at the beginning, the Diamante Eco, where yes, the animals are enclosed. They have a space similar to the one in their natural environment, but much smaller. And they only arrived there because they couldn't be reintegrated in nature, right, in the wild. I have not seen zoos, and I'm not sure if there's a law for zoos in particular, but I know that Costa Rica, as a general rule, is against zoos as we might understand them to be. Is there a place that has many sloths, or are sloths everywhere? So the place with the most sloths is Cahuita National Park, the one on the Caribbean side. Around Volcano Arenal, there is a place, it's called the Sloth Trail, where you will also, or It's not the Sloth Trail. It was, I'll have to look for the name. It is privately owned by a family that moved there, and they've also bought land and turned it into a small piece of sanctuary for sloths. So you can go and see sloths next to Volcano and Alto. Now, the thing about sloths is that during the day, they are pretty much, inactive. They sleep a lot, so it's very hard to spot them because they look just like a ball of fur on top of the tree. And if you don't have a telescope, it's very hard to see them. Who are the expats? Why do they go there? Climate. The expats are mostly Americans, people coming from the United States because it's very convenient for them. Costa Rica is very close, so a flight to Costa Rica is between 2 to 4 hours. The climate is amazing. Warm all year round, beaches everywhere, nice communities. Costa Rica is actually known as the Switzerland of Central America. It is the most expensive country in Central America, but it's also the safest. And do not expect cheap prices when traveling to Costa Rica, but because it's not very cheap, the quality of the tourists and the quality of the people that go there, it is higher. So, safer, more protected, and more favored by the tourists because of that. It seems like a fairly small country. Do you rent a car and drive? And how long to get from one beach town to another? Can you have a base and do day trips? If so, suggestions. Yes, you definitely need to rent a car in Costa Rica. The bus system works only between main locations. So say if you want to travel from San Jose to Liberia or maybe to San Jose to the south. But my suggestion to make your life easier, do rent the car. Do go for a 4x4 because a 4x4 will enable you to go into off the beaten path locations too. And yes, you can do day trips from a certain base, say from Liberia to the beaches around in the Guanacaste region. But there's not a town that I would say, yes, use that as your base and then do day trips because it does not take you, so traveling anywhere takes you longer because there are not many highways. Yes, the quality of the roads is good, but you're only driving on one lane. And if you have a truck in front of you, you're only going to drive as fast as that truck. When is best time of year to see the humpback whales, or are they visible year round? No, so the best time to see them is between January and March, especially in Uvita. What is the distance of the walk in Corcovado? So the distance on the first day is 20 kilometers, and you can choose to walk the second day to get out of the park. Again, 20 kilometers. 20 kilometers is, I would have to do the conversion in miles. What's the water temperature in diving video? All have wetsuits on. Yes, I do not know the exact temperature, but wetsuits are required. Sometimes 2 wetsuits are required to withstand the temperature if you're going to do more dives in a day. Do you encounter poison dart frogs? Yes, you will, but it's not very common. So you have to go deep into the forest and only a local guide can point them out to you because they're very, very, very small and they are not very dangerous. So they're only dangerous if you're going to lick them. But hopefully you're not going to do that. And if you end up licking them, they'll only make you sick. They will not kill you. How many snakes did you encounter? 0. No, actually, that's a lie. I did see one only because the local guide pointed it out to me. And as far as snakes go, the fer de lance is the deadliest snake. And it's also one of the most aggressive species of snakes. And they cause the most accidents in the country. The fer de lance is found all across the country, but I have seen it in Manuel Antonio National Park. It was very, very tiny. And as I said, without the local guide pointing it out to me, I would not have seen it. It was perfectly camouflaged. How much time would one need to do a trip incorporating most of the places she showed us today? 4 months. No, so a trip, you would need at least 7 days just for, say, 2 regions of Costa Rica. As I've mentioned earlier, it is not very, it's easy to drive, but you won't drive very fast. So you need to take your time. I have celiac disease, so need to be gluten-free. Is that a problem in Costa Rica? It's not a problem as long as you make as long as you make the people aware of your allergy. Do they have sashimi or sushi? No, they do have ceviche. So we had some of the best ceviche in our lives in there because the fish is very fresh, but I have the sashimi or sushi we haven't seen. How is the internet connection at the resorts? Very good. How are the mosquitoes year round? I mean, yes, of course, just like in any humid or tropical environment, you will have mosquitoes, but do make sure you have a mosquito repellent and they're not terrible. Is Volcán Poás worth visiting? Yes, it is. But I would not necessarily put it as the top of the list. Can you recommend any resorts? There's so many. And so the Diamante Eco Resort, there's another one, the Rio Pacuare Resort. I can give Laura a list afterwards and she'll send it in the email. Did you feel good about driving there compared to US? The US would not necessarily come to my mind as a comparison to Costa Rica. The quality of the roads is very good. I did feel safe driving, so the drivers are very polite. And yeah, it was fine for us. I missed the first few minutes of your tour. Have you lived in Costa Rica? For 4 months, yes, we have lived in Costa Rica and we have explored it thoroughly and did take as much tours as we could, both bird watching tours, natural tours, and night tours.
What I'd like to hear from you, and so many of the guides, when they visit other countries and other locations, they still rely on local guides for their education.
Oh, I think that's the first thing that you learn, that without a local guide, there's no way that you can actually experience the authentic side of a country. And that's totally something that we know because we are guides. And of course, because we're guides, that's what made us more curious to do these many tours, right? Because I think we've done like more than 10 night tours, bird watching tours and so on. And it's that curiosity that, to learn more that made us explore a lot more of the country. But yeah, always rely on the local guides. Without the local guides, there's so much that you can miss. And, if you're only going there for a few days, you don't know what you're missing, but take it from me, your experience will definitely be enhanced with a local guide.
Yep, I agree. I think every location, no matter how mesmerizing it is enriched by a local guide. The education that it brings, it just brings you a better understanding and a more deep, just a deeper experience than doing it on your own. So yeah, so that was
100%.
That was a nice subliminal plug, even though I know you didn't do it on purpose, but it is so true that we all should be relying on local guides when we visit other regions, even if they're local to you. I've gone right into Philadelphia, which is only probably 25 miles from me, and done guided tours there. So I think it's really important. So that's great. That is the end of our Q&A session. Thank you very much, Georgiana, as always, for coming and bringing your knowledge and your passion for locations. So I really appreciate it. And to the audience who's still with us, thank you again. We will see you next week. I believe we're going to Sicily. Have a great week and enjoy it. And I'll see you soon. Thanks again. Bye, Georgiana.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye, Mara.